Okay. Everyone, welcome back to the Breslov Efrat here at Shiva David. Wish everyone a freilich and Israel Chag here, and for all of our Eretz Yisrael the Yidden, right? And all of the Yidden that are outside, they're still doing their Yontif. Okay. We have to do what we do, and they do what they do. To me, today, put on tefillin today was so amazing. It was worth making Aliyah and becoming part of Eretz Yisrael just to put on my tefillin today. It was worth it.
When do we start saying Tachanun again?
After the 15th.
The 8th day, yeah. 8 days later, yeah. Yud Gimel.
It's a week from Sunday.
Yeah.
That's week.
Today's the 7th.
That's Sunday, next Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's go. So we're learning here. Baruch Hashem. We're gonna continue learning with Siyata D'Shmai, of course, Hilchas Netilas Yadayim and Likutey Halachos. We're up to Halacha Vav, and today we're up to letter Ches. All right. So Erev Yontif, we were talking about the different parashias that we read and when we read them. Now we're going to continue that idea. That idea. V'alkein koirin acher kach tekiv parshas hachodesh. Okay, so you read parsha. So it goes like this. You have Parshas Zochar. You first started with Parshas Shkolah, right? The extra Sefer Torah that we take out the 4 Parshas before Pesach, right? So we do first Parshas Shkolim, then we do Parshas Zochar. Right after Parshas Zochar is Parshas Parah, and then we do Parshas Hachodesh, right? There's special 4 special weeks. Okay, Parshas Hachodesh. Shu Soid Kiddush HaChodesh. That's the whole secret of sanctifying the month, right? The whole idea of Parshas HaChodesh is the whole idea of Kiddush HaChodesh, that we know how to sanctify the month. He says now, Shu Soid HaIbor, that's the beautiful idea of the Chodesh HaIbor, where you have an extra month. We add, sometimes we have to because we go by the solar calendar, the lunar calendar, right? We go by the moon, and because the calendar by the moon, it has to catch up. Why do it has to always be in line with Chodesh HaAviv, right? The Chodesh HaAviv is the springtime, where it has to be that Pesach comes out in the springtime, right? So that's why when it falls back, you have to always, we know the secret of how to do that, to bring it back. The Chodesh Yibba, okay. Ki kol zeh, hu bechinas soy the Yibba, bechinas ki hi chachmaschem uvinaschem le'enei ha'amim. Le'enei ha'amim daika, to show the nations of the world daika. Why? Sham Bater Chadi Rabbi Shimon, and he talks about this today. He's going to explain now. Watch. Kiki Iker Hasoid Haiber Shu Soid Kiddush HaChodesh Nis Kasha by Moshe Rabbeinu. Can you believe that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand this concept? Moshe Rabbeinu had a question on how this really worked. He didn't understand. He didn't understand why is it. Well, we learned a lot about this idea. Why is it that we're going to be Mekadesh the moon when the moon is so tiny, where you can barely see it, right? It's so small. The Levana is so small, right? And then the witnesses have to come and they interrogate the witnesses to find out what did they actually see? It wasn't that we're not interrogating the witnesses to find out if they're truthful witnesses. We're asking the witnesses to make sure. Did you see the Levana? Where were you standing? Were you standing this way? Were you standing that way? How did you see it? Right? They ask many questions to make sure, right? And then if they verified with the witnesses, so then they would say Mekudesh. It would be they would sanctify the month right there, and then they would have the Gemara talks about that they had on the mountaintops. You had people with torches. Right, people with torches. So in Yerushalayim, they would say that they would light one torch. The other guy was on the man, saw the torch. He lit his torch, and the other one, and so on. So everyone knew there was Rosh Chodesh. Right? They had a fire.
Where did they had to stand in a particular place, and it couldn't have been in Jerusalem?
They could have been somewhere else. It could have been somewhere else. It doesn't matter. Wherever they saw the moon. These are the witnesses that come. We were standing out there, right? We were standing at night. We were taking a walk, and we saw the moon. And we got to go to the bed. We go there, and we tell them we saw the moon. Oh, really? You sure you saw the moon? Where were you? You understand? They ask us the questions to make sure what we saw was actually the moon, and it wasn't something else. You understand? Okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu, u'lesakin pegimas levana, because that's the whole idea, is to be mesakin the pegam of the levana. What's the pegam of the levana? Right, the pegam of the levana was when the levana came, the moon came to Hashem and said that you can't have two kings with one crown. Remember that? Right? How could two kings have one keter? It's not possible. You have to have. So Kadosh Baruch said, "Okay, go and make yourself smaller." Remember, that's the pegam of the levana. But the real question is, we learned, why was that a pegam for the levana? You remember what we learned about that? We learned like this. I'll remind you. The levana, Hashem made the world, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world with the Shnei Ma'ores HaGedolos, the two big lights. If Hashem made the world that way, why is the moon asking questions?
Right.
He should have had a moon. Hashem knows what he's doing. V'haraya, what's the proof? That in the future, when we do Kiddush Levana, when we write the thing, we talk about that in the future, it'll bring back the moon will be the same light, luminary, like the sun. Everything will get fixed. It'll get fixed again. Unbelievable. But that was
interesting about, like the moon said you can't have two kings. I mean, or how did they? I don't know.
You can have two kings, but you have to have two crowns. You can't have one crown. In other words, you can't have two kings sharing one crown.
Right. So, couldn't each have a crown?
No. Really, the question is a good question. The moon had a question. We explained what the real problem was. We explained what the real problem. The moon should have had the emunah and the hashgacha pratis on how Hashem created the world, and Hashem knows what He's doing. But because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't have, so to say, the patience, okay? Again, you have to be very careful, right? Yeah. When we read for the Rosh Chodesh, we talk about the Chatas LaHashem, the last Aliyah, on the fourth Aliyah on Rosh Chodesh. We talk about that we brought the Chatas LaHashem. We brought an offering in the Beis HaMikdash, a sin offering for Hashem on Rosh Chodesh. What was the sin offering for Hashem? What did Hashem do wrong? Hashem says, I did something wrong because I acted hastily. This is what Hashem says. Yeah. I acted hastily with the moon. I didn't have patience with the moon. And that's the only reason I'm saying that.
Right. So what that means is that Hashem believed that you could have two kings and each of them have a crown. Because that's the way he was. I mean, I know what you're saying, but it's like,
forget the question with the moon was not. It was a moot point. They didn't need crowns and nothing. This was the moon and the sun, and then that's it. Hashem figured out how it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
that was Plan A. Plan A was the way Hashem made it. Plan B was that he had to make the moon smaller, and we are considered the moon. Klal Yisrael is the moon. We're compared to the moon.
So when we're rectified and we're a full moon,
right,
or equal, what does that say?
No. So we learned the idea with the moon in Hilchas Birchas in Hilchas Birchas Hashach. Yeah. We learned the idea with the moon that Klal Yisrael we are like the moon. Why? Because we have our ups and our downs. The moon waxes and wanes. Right? The moon gets larger, it gets smaller. Larger, it gets smaller. Every time it gets smaller, it gets smaller to be able to get bigger again. Right? That's the whole idea. Okay? Ad she'iyah ora levana ke'ora chama, and until it's going to be that the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. Could you imagine that?
When the Mashiach.
Right now, the moon has no light of its own. Right, has no light of its own. It's like the Rebbe and the Talmud, right? You have the rabbi and the student. The student has nothing. The rabbi gives. Right, this is the same idea. The moon, the sun gives everything. But we said even the light of the sun is really you're looking at Hashem's light. You see this? It's a sunny day. You're looking at the sun. The sun has no light of its own. The sun is giving the light of Hashem. The sun that comes from the moon, from the light that comes from the sun, is really the light of Hashem. That's the art from Hashem. It's not the sun's itself.
So will that be fixed when the Mashiach comes?
Of course, it's going to get fixed. Yeah. Shul bechinas klolius asplaklaria she'enei meira. Okay, we have an idea when in Nevuah. In Nevuah, we have this idea of asplaklaria meira and asplaklaria she'enei meira. What does that mean? You have sometimes when you're looking into a mirror, let's say, sometimes it's very, very clear, and you see something very vivid, very, very clear. You could see very clear, but sometimes it's foggy, right? Sometimes the mirror is foggy or haze or whatever, right? And then you see something, but you don't exactly see it that clearly, right? Shu bechinas haLevana. That is the idea of the Levana. That's the idea of the Levana, that it doesn't have any light by itself. It has nothing by itself. It doesn't have the aspect of its own source of light, right? The moon is, so to say, recharged with the light of the sun, right? You know, you have those watches that work on the solar, right? Right? It doesn't. The watch has no power by itself. It gets the solar light. It gets the light from the sun. Then it works, right? That's how the moon is. The moon has no light by itself. It gets charged up by the sun. And this moon that the light gives, the light that the moon gives off is really the sun's light. Right? Sun, S-U-N, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shu bechinas hachama. That's the idea of the chama, the sun. Shu bechinas klolius hasogas dore mata shehu maloi chol oretz kevaydai basogas dore mala shu bechinas ayin. So you really, if you have the chance to look at lesson 7 in the second book, it's fascinating. It's a long lesson. It's a complicated lesson, right? It's a lesson that Rabbi Nachman gave on a Shabbos Chanukah. It's a beautiful, beautiful lesson, and it talks about this idea of the Dorei Mala and the Dorei Mata. You have the Dorei Mala up on high, and the Dorei Mata. The Dorei Mala is Aye Mikaim Kivaydai. Right, people that are on a high, they're high. You show them. Where is Hashem? You think you know where Hashem is? The high people, the people that are doing really well, they think they have a connection with Hashem. So the tzaddikim show them really what connection they have. You have to keep going. You don't really have such a connection. You have to keep going. But Darei Mata, when the people are low, the tzaddik shows the person. Hashem is maloi chalaretz kevodo. Hashem's covers everywhere. The opposite, right? The opposite. When the person's on a low level and he's far away, so then you can show him even in that place that you're far away, Hashem is with you. You understand how it works, right? The person's in a makom tumah, is in a place of impurity. A place far away from Hashem, but Hashem is there too. Hashem is there. You can come out of that, right? But then when the guy grows, then when he thinks now he's close to Hashem, he says to him, no, Darei Mala, Aye Mikaim Kivaydai. Where is Hashem? You have to keep searching. You understand? You need both of them. You need the Darei Mala and you need the Darei Mata. Sometimes the person's in the Darei Mata, he's in the dumps. He has to remember that Hashem's covenant is everywhere in the world. Everywhere you can find Hashem in the world. It doesn't matter where you are. Everything has a likus, a spark of godliness in it. That's how it exists in the world, because it has that spark of elikus, right? And then when the person's on a high level, right? Okay. Again, if you have the chance to look at that Torah, I'm telling you, it's a fascinating lesson. It's a long lesson, but if you go through it, it's fascinating.
ומתי זה קורה? קורה בקדושה.
מה?
בקדושה זה קורה. שהמלאכים מלמעלה ובני ישראל מלמטה.
כן.
שרים ביחד.
לא, יש אנשים שהם למעלה.
אבל בקדושה.
כן, הקדושה בכל מקום. הקדושה בכל מקום.
הקדושה בתפילה.
כן.
יש לך את הקדושה בתפילה.
כן.
באותו רגע גם המלאכים וגם בני ישראל שרים ביחד.
כן.
השם יתברך, ואז יהיה מקום כבודו.
זה בקטע, אנחנו אומרים, ket yidin l'chag aye mekom kavod elitzo. כן? כן. זה ממש מקום למעלה, ממש למעלה, אבל האנשים שהם למעלה, הם צריכים לחפש איפה את השם, למעלה, אבל האנשים שהם למטה, אנחנו צריכים לדעת, הקדוש ברוך הוא מלוא יכול את כבודו, הקדוש ברוך הוא נמצא בכל מקומות של העולם. אוקיי, בסדר? אוקיי, שכל זה אי אפשר לכלול בשלמוס כי אם על ידי בחינס השתיקה ובחינס הרמזה. So sometimes we said like this, sometimes we need the shtika, right? We have to see, we need silence, right? Sometimes the people, you could learn something from somebody just with the silence alone, right? Sometimes you have silence, shtika. The shtika itself is the ramazim, it gives the hint. Like we said, the hand motions can teach sometimes a lot, right? Sometimes the hand motions can teach a lot. A person is acting in a strange way, so that's why I said you go like this, right? You go savlanut, right? You go like this, savlanut. That motion says 1,000 words. You go like this, right? That you don't have to say anything. You just made a motion, quiet. You don't have to say anything, right? That's the main tikkun for the whole idea of the yamin and the small, the right idea, the right and the left, right? The whole idea is you have to have the right with the left, and you have to connect the left to the right. Remember that? Right? But like, for example, you had our friend Korach, right? Korach was from the side of Din. Korach is on the side of Din, small. He's on the side of Din, Korach. But Korach wanted to be machalef. He wanted to switch the left for the right. He didn't want to include the left with the right. He wanted to switch it. And therefore he disconnected himself from the chesed, the side of chesed. And therefore that's why he wound up getting swallowed into the ground, because it was just too much din. But the whole idea is we have to always connect the left with the right. That's the idea we said when we give the tzedakah, you use both hands and so on, okay? Whenever you could do something, you do it with two hands, right? We're learning ideas as hilchas netilas yadayim. So when you wash hands, you lift both hands up, right? You don't lift up just your right hand. You lift up both hands. The two hands, you say, suya deichem kodesh, right? You need the left with the right. You always have to bring the left together with the right, all right? Okay. Uvechol zeh, oiskim kodim Pesach. All of this we do all before the holiday of Pesach, right? Before the holiday of Pesach, we read all these four special parshias, right? We read Parshas HaChodesh, right? Well, we start out with Parshas Shkol, right? Then we go to Parshas Zohar, then we go to Parshas Torah, and then we do Parshas HaChodesh. Amen. Okay, but that we do all before Pesach. Why? Because that's the time when we come closer, we start to coming closer to Hashem, right? That now we're on a high level, right? We finished the days of Pesach, we finished the whole beautiful time, the Kufa of Tzfira. We finished the Kufa of Tzfira, we came to Kabbalah Satar, which was the 50th gate. Now we're holding on a higher level. Baruch Hashem, we're on a higher level. But before Pesach, we were on a very low level. Right? We had to raise ourselves up. Moshe Rabbeinu would give the das. He would illuminate, shine the das on call of Klal Yisrael. Through this, from the Oras HaChochma, that we don't understand. But sometimes the tzaddikim, they understand different things, right? And they understand what they're going to reveal to us. Right? Sometimes the tzaddikim have so much information, but they have to use their wisdom of what to give, because the Rebbe explains in that lesson, you have something that's called a pnimi in your mind, something that you understand, something that's in the mind, something that you grasp. And then there's something called the makif. There's something, the makif. The makif is outside the mind. It's something outside. So the tzaddikim, they give over the teaching, which is a makif to me, but it can't be too high. It has to be what I can accept. I can't be, if it's too high, you lose the people. They don't understand it. You have to give it over in a way that people can understand it. Okay, ayin mizeh mimoke mache hilchas petach hamor. The whole idea of petach hamor, right? That you have petach, we have the idea that we do the what do you call it? When you have the firstborn, right? If you have the firstborn that was born, it was right. So you have to be poded the child, right? You go to the Kohen. He gives him the shkolim. He takes the baby. Remember the whole idea, right? And also there's something called like that petach chamar. You have to be poded the chamar also, the donkey. One time I was zeicher to go to one of these. I was zeicher to go to one of these petach chamar. I work with an organization, and they had upstate. They had a farmer that had a chamar, right? And it was beautiful. They take the donkey and they dressed him up. They put him on jewelry. They put him on this. They made the donkey look nice. It was unbelievable. Mamish, unbelievable. Yeah, the other day I was riding. I was on 60, and I saw that there was an Arab riding on a donkey. I said that's opposite. Yeah. The donkey should be riding on the Arab. Why is the Arab riding on a donkey? The donkey's better than him.
I was there when you said that.
Yeah, unbelievable, right? Well, why is okay, all right. So there's the idea of petach chamar. Okay, you have to be poda the chamar. That's in Hilchas Pesach halacha. Okay, shesham mevaya inyan Pesach umatzah v'yisa chometz al pi Torah kimerachim. Right, kimerachim. That's the Torah lesson 7 in the second book of Likutey Moran in Tinyana. Ach kan. Nis vasvu divarim rabim haydei inyan arba parshiyos. Right now, I gave you many different ideas of these 4 parshiyos. I gave you a lot of different ideas. Rav Nosson says I gave you the ideas of parshas Torah, right? Why the Parah Aduma, right? And that you don't know. And then we gave you the ideas now of parshas HaChodesh, right? And we spoke about the shkolim. Right, the shkolim, the parshas hashkolim. I gave you this vadayin hasoid komos v'nela mitanu rak roya merechoik oid lelekai milin. So Rav Nosson is saying that look, I'm like everything else. Rav Nosson just shows us beauty in what we're doing. You have these 4 parshiyas, right? All the mitzvahs that we do. That's all Rav Nosson does. He shows us. Look at the thing that you're doing. Look how special what you're doing is. Look how special each mitzvah is. See the beauty in the mitzvah. But he says, really, to understand the mitzvah itself, we don't understand. I could show you what you're doing is beautiful, but why are you doing it? What's the point of the mitzvah? Reb Nosson says, we don't understand. Yeah, I was going over on the Shavuos night, so I was doing the Tikkun Lel Shavuos, and you read the Taryag mitzvahs, right? You have in the end you do the Taryag, there's 613 mitzvahs. So mitzvah, it was the Koma, that's how I remember. Yeah. So mitzvah 545. Mitzvah 545 is to lend money to Gentiles with ribbis. If you have to lend money to a guy, you have to charge him ribbis. It's a mitzvah in the Torah. Mitzvah 545. But if you lend money to a Jew, it says no ribbis. No ribbis. You can't charge any interest. Isn't it interesting? The mitzvahs are so amazing. You could learn so many things out of it. And then we learned the idea. I was going through most of the mitzvahs. If you go through the bulk of the mitzvahs, they don't pertain to us today. Right? We don't have the mitzvahs. We don't have the mitzvahs that some of them were with Kohanim wearing his begadim and this and that. We don't have these mitzvahs today. But we learned so beautiful that if we have one mitzvah, right? If you have one mitzvah, if you take on, every Jew has their one mitzvah that's so special, right? Every Jew has one mitzvah that they love and cherish, right? So that one mitzvah is the interface to get you into the all 613 mitzvahs. You need one mitzvah to be connected. You need an entrance. You need to get in. You need to get into the 613 mitzvahs. So if you have your one mitzvah that you really do with all your heart, And so you put everything into that mitzvah. Now you're in the system of the 613 mitzvahs, and then you connect it to all 613 mitzvahs. So one mitzvah can connect you to all the mitzvahs. Well, we learned that idea. Just wanted to go over it again when Reb Nosson wrote this now. All right, let's go now to Tess, okay? Here we go. And so now the whole idea in this world is we have to connect the left to the right. Always connect the left to the right. We take the chesed and the gevura, we put them together, and that's how you get to Tiferes. Remember? Right? You have Avram Avinu is the chesed, Yitzchak Avinu is the gevura. You take Avram and Yitzchak, you put them together, the midah of chesed, balanced. The midah of gevura, balanced. Together gives you the Tiferes. You get Yaakov Avinu, which we get the Shiftei Ka. Now he says like this: Hika leuvda sha'adam eich shehu tzarech lizor al kol panim mechachmos shelo yiyah chacham be'einei atzmai. The main thing is we have to make sure we're not too smart. We shouldn't think we're too smart and too knowledgeable. Why? Because if a person thinks he's too smart, he's never going to learn anything. Right? If you think you're a master, right? The guy, I went through Shas, I went through Paiskim, I know it already. You know it already, that means he's not going to learn it again. Right? The great tzaddikim, take Rav Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal, right? Great tzaddik. He was always learning Shas. He knew it. Believe me, he knew it. But he always saw something new. Some guy will say, listen, I did all the parshas, I did the Shnai Mikra Targum. I know that already. You know it? Do it again. See something new. Find another chiddush in there. Find something new. But if the person thinks he knows everything, you have people like that. They think they know everything. Those people don't want to learn anything. Because sometimes chachma can be very damaging. Like I just explained to you, right? You understand, David? You understand it, right? Sometimes the person is too smart for his own good. You ever hear that expression, right?
I understand that I can't understand.
But sometimes they say but sometimes the people they say he's too smart for his own good. You heard that, right? You heard that expression?
I know people like that.
Right, because those people, they know everything. They're not going to learn anything. They'll never do anything. Hey, you're going to tell me I did something wrong? I know better than you. I know everything. Very, very damaging.
Arrogance.
Arrogant, right? K'moshe Kosav Adeneinu Ma'reinu Rabbeinu Zechreinu Levracha, as Rabbi Nachman wrote. Look how he introduces his Rabbi every time in Sichas Haran in lesson 216. Shechachmos mapilin es adam. Chachma can really knock down a person, right? It's very, very interesting, right? Chachma can knock down a person if he doesn't use it in the right way, right? K'moshe Kosav Reisi ish chacham. Be'einav tikva lekisil mimenu. This is a pasuk in Mishlei. Okay, Shlomo Melech writes in Mishlei. Ra'isi ish chacham. I saw a very smart man. Be'einav tikva lekisil mimenu. But he should understand that really the foolishness is a foolish person is even better than the wise one, because the foolish person says, I don't know anything. He'll always go learn. But the wise person doesn't want to learn anything. Wow. And that's why it's a tikva. That's why that's a tikva. It's a tikva for the person. It's a hope for the person. Right? Bifrat kisheba yedei chachma sheloi lidei machlokes chas v'shalom. And then many times it brings a person to make machlokes, to make arguments, right? I know, how can it be that this rabbi is doing this? I know better than this rabbi. See, he doesn't know what he's doing. Right? Many times, right? People will do that. Right? You see a great rabbi doing something. Oh, but I learned this, I learned that, I know this. And what's he doing? It's wrong. But don't you think he learned what you learned also? And he knows a lot more than what you do? And maybe there's a reason why what he's doing? But that if the person is too smart, he's always making a machlokes. What are you doing? I know better than you. Sometimes we argue with people that are more righteous than us. Right? The people are more righteous, but I know better. And that's where machlokes comes. If a person realizes that he doesn't know, sometimes he doesn't argue with people. He maybe go over to the other person and ask him, can you just please explain to me? I thought it's like this, but what do I know? Maybe you can explain to me the way it really is, right? You could do that instead of coming up in the mind, oh, he's wrong. Right? We could do that, correct? V'yesh oimim b'peh molei emes shehu yirei Hashem v'kosher mimenu aval af al pi chen einay misnai keroyu lefi datoi. Yeah, he's a righteous guy. He's a good guy, but he may know more than me. But I know what he's doing is wrong. I know it's wrong. You ever see people do things like that?
So I was in a class once, and we do this little thing where we give them a test, and they do it on their own to get an answer, and then they, in the group, so to get a group answer. And in one of these groups, there were two guys, and the third person was a woman, and she was doing it on her own, and the two guys would do it together, and they thought they knew everything. This woman got them all right, and these guys didn't get them all right.
You see that? Okay.
So it was like, we put down someone because we don't think they don't know. We don't include them.
You don't know. You think you know better, but that's no good. If you see if you know someone that knows what he's doing, if you know he's a good person, so when you see something, don't argue with him. Learn from him. Learn. Ask the person. Ask him, can you please explain to me? I don't understand. Right? You don't have to go into a machlokes. It's amazing, right? Nidme loy shehu chacham beinav. He thinks he's very wise. He's a smart guy. He's very, very smart. Kemotzu zeh harbe bekama bechinas, as we see many people in many different levels, many different aspects. You can see this in everything. In business, you can see this in families. You can see this with people dealing with their children and a child and a father, right? So the child thinks, I know much better than my father. What's he doing? My father, he doesn't know what he's doing. I know better. Right? Kids do that all the time, right? It's the same problem. And look what he says here. This can be more damaging than sin itself. Because the whole mind is messed up. You understand? A sin, okay, you do a sin, you can do tshuva for the sin. But if your whole premise of thinking is wrong, you can go off the deep end. You hear this? You can go off the deep end. Ki machlokes v'sinas chinim kosher mikol. Because machlokes, arguing, right? Arguing with people, and sinas chinam, baseless hatred. Right? I hate this guy. Look what he just did. How can it be he did this? That's baseless hatred, right? We lost the Beis Hamikdash because of baseless hatred, right? So look what you're doing. Look what the person's accomplishing. Terrible, right? And the Satan is still dancing. The Satan. Right? The evil inclination. He's dancing. He loves this. He loves to put these ideas into the person's mind. That, you're great. You're really so great. You really understand. You understand everything. And look, see the rabbi, he doesn't understand. See when he's making the mistake. And the Satan's laughing all the way to the bank. Yeah, like they say, right? He's laughing to the bank, right? Because he's trying to get the person to change his mind, his thinking. That he sees everything else is wrong, but he's only right. Right? There's people like that, right? Everyone's wrong, but I'm right. There's people like that, right? Oh, yeah. Everybody's only I'm right. Only I'm right, right? A lot of people like that. Because what's he trying to do? He's trying to prevent the building of the Beis Hamikdash. Because whenever you have baseless hatred, it causes the destruction. So every time we get there ready to build the Beis Hamikdash and the guy starts doing this, oh, there we go, sinas chinam, take it all apart again. Because you have so much argument and so much opposition of doing the right things. We're not even talking about making the people making mistakes, thinking wrong. We're talking about people are you're in a good group with good people, and the person surmises, he comes up with the thing, no good. I know better. What do they know what they're doing? I know better. Right? There's things like that, right? Befrat bein hachachamim v'akisherim, specifically when it comes to the chachamim. You have two rabbis, right? One rabbi thinks, I know much better than this rabbi. What does he know? I know much more. No, that's no good. Discuss it with the rabbi. Work it out. Don't surmise things in the mind. Work things out with people. You don't have to have baseless hatred. Most of the time you discuss it, you'll see that the person was right. You understand his view. And then you say, maybe you're right. And maybe I was wrong. Right? Sometimes it's very good to talk it out. Okay. He calls man shadam shoyme atzmai mikol mine machlekes al emes. As long as the person's watching himself, that he doesn't want to have any machlekes. He just wants to find the truth. That's all he's trying to do, is looking for the truth. But he doesn't want to have machlekes. He doesn't want to argue. He doesn't want to have any arguments. So you work things out. Look, even Kairach, right? He had his problems with Moshe Rabbeinu. He could have said to Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, can I please have a meeting with you? Right? He could have said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I want to have a meeting. They could have sat down. Kairach could have explained to Moshe Rabbeinu all of his gripes, like we learned. Right? He had listen, Moshe, how come you didn't make me a Kayan also? Well, how come I'm a Levi? How come I wasn't a Kayan? And how come you make me a Levi and then you shave off all my hair? And then you shook me around like a lulav? What are you doing? He could have told it to him. He could have came to him privately and discussed it with him, correct? He would have avoided the whole thing. But he surmised in his mind, no, Moshe's wrong. I'm right. Moshe's wrong, right? That's a perfect example. You had Kairach. He was a great guy. He was really great. The guy was great. He was a big Talmud Chacham. He was great. But he didn't understand that I have to have emunah in the Chachamim, in the Tzaddikim. He didn't understand that. So he went up in opposition against him. That's a prime example of what we're saying here. He could have went and spoke to Moshe. Moshe would have explained it to him. Listen, you're carrying the Aron. I gave you the greatest job. You carry the Aron that has the Torah in there. That's great. You have a great job. He could have explained to him, you're the left. You have to connect the left with the right. He would have explained it to him. But instead, Kairach went fighting with Moshe Rabbeinu.
He didn't want to negotiate. He wants a nuclear bomb. It's all.
No, it's good. We're learning because it's going to be coming up now. We have, right, this week is Parshas Nasi. You have Baloischa, Shlach, and then you have Korach. Right after Shlach, you have Korach. Yeah. After Korach, you have Chukat. Right. Then you have the Chukat. Then you have the Paraduma, like we learned. Right. The Chukas is the Paraduma. Right. We learned that on Erev Yantiv. We learned the whole idea. Right. But the main thing is you don't have machlokes. If I don't understand something, work it out. Don't think that the other person's wrong and I'm right. That's wrong. That's no good. I have to be mevatel my own mind, my own ideas against when it comes to the tzaddikim and the righteous people. They know what they're doing. I must be making a mistake. It's me. It's not them. It can't be it's them. It's I'm making the mistake. Right? In other words, Kairach could have said, I realize I don't understand this, why this is happening. But there must be a reason for it. Right? You want to say something, David?
So
Please.
a picture of a tombstone in a cemetery, and on it said, he had the right of way.
He had the right of way. Oh, he had the right of way, yeah, but he still got ran over. He got ran over. He
was right.
He was dead right.
He was dead right. That's what they say, dead right. Oh, there you go. Hence, that's the expression, dead right. Wow. Wow. No, but this is such an important lesson, right? In general, just to understand, you see someone's doing, there's a good guy, he's doing something, Find out what it is and ask him. Don't come up in your mind and you come up with that. I can't stand this guy anymore. Look at this, what he did. I can't stand that. Right? People feel that way, right?
They do.
Yeah, they don't. No. People don't ever feel that way, right?
They do, however, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Disrespect. Ask.
But there's always hope for a person, no matter the way he is. No matter how the person is, there's always a hope for a person. Ki gadol Hashem v'ein yoidin klal. Right? You have to understand that Hashem runs the world in a way that we learned this concept, right? Many times you see there's a machlokes between the tzaddikim, right? It's to show me that I have to do tshuva. That's why I see this machlokes. Many times the rabbis argue. Remember we learned that concept. The rabbis are arguing, and I see that. And I have to say, Elu ve'elu divrei elikim chayim, right? His words and his words, even though they're opposite, they're both words of the living God. I don't understand it because I have to do tshuva. This lesson is also written in Chayim Maran. If you want to look in the what a beautiful book that is in Samach Zayin, which is 67. Moving Sham Ikra Tikva Vatikun Ayadei Shemaminim V'Gedulas Hashem V'Tarosai V'Tzadikav She'ein Yoidim Klal, that I don't know anything. Hashem is the tzaddik. The tzaddikim are righteous. I don't know anything. I just follow what they tell me to do. It's not what I think, it's what they think. They know. I don't know. But when I start to think in my own self that I know more, that leads me to the kairach, the story with the kairach. You understand?
Yeah, there's something interesting about that, because I went to someone who's a great guy.
Okay.
And I asked him, I said, if you know about this, tell me what your thinking is behind not taking it on yourself. He said, because my father never did it. It's not our minhag.
I don't know. Can you give an example?
Mayim Achronim.
Right.
But that's probably not a great example because I've learned this.
His father didn't do it. Well, listen, it's a din in Shulchan Aruch. Mayim Achronim is not my father did it. It's a din in Shulchan Aruch. It's not.
Right.
It's not a minhag.
Right, but let's say it was a minhag for a moment.
Right. Okay. So a minhag, if a person doesn't have the minhag, then he doesn't have to do the minhag. Right? If people have minhagim and they follow their minhagim.
Why? I would think that if I want to get close to Hashem, I would want to do whatever I can to get close to Hashem.
No. But a minhag is just as important most of the time as a din itself.
Uh-huh.
A minhag is very, very important. So if a person if he knows his minhagim, and he knows what a minhag is and he knows what a halacha is, right? So like he says, Mayim Achronim, that's not a minhag. That's a din in Shulchan Aruch.
What Mordechai is saying is that if he wants to get close to Hashem, so he should take on the minhag, even though it wasn't the minhag that is.
No.
Can you take on something?
You can. A person can. He can do that. But if a person has his minhagim, right, and they're founded minhagim,
right,
that's great. That's something great. That's something amazing.
However, and
for example, let's give an example. I was talking about this before the clip. We were talking about this idea. We just had the Akdamas, right? We had the Akdamas, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful sugya in Shulchan Aruch. If you want to look this up, this idea with there was a Rishon. He's the Maril. Okay, he was a Paisik. He was a Rishon. He was Minhag Ashkenaz. Minhag Ashkenaz usually follows the Maril. Okay, so the Maril says when it comes to Shavuos morning, right? Shavuos morning, like we just had, Baruch Hashem, right? So you read first Megillas Rus, then you take out the Torah, and you put the Torah on the bima, right? You put the Torah down. You call up the Kohen. Right? You call up the Kohen. The Kohen makes his bracha, right? Baruch Hashem, right? He makes his bracha. They open up the Torah. He reads one pasuk. Then they close the Torah, and they do the Akdamas. And then they come back after the Akdamis and he continues reading. Wow, the Maril says to do that, right? Didn't Shulchan Aruch, right? The Maril says that. Later on, much later, came along the Taz. The Holy Taz, right? The Taz asks a question. He says, what are you doing here? This is a mistake. The Taz is saying that. He can do that. We don't do things like that, okay? Great people can say that. Okay, he says, I don't understand what the Maril is saying to do this. You're making a hefsek. If you were going to do, so he gives the idea when they had the Targum, right? Targum was they would read a pasuk and then they would do the explanation of the pasuk and then they would read the next pasuk. The same way the Teimanim do it today, right? The Teimanim still do that out hayom. Right, the Teimanim, right, the people from Teiman, they take out the Torah, they read one sentence, they explain the sentence, then they read the next sentence in the Torah and explain it. Right, that's what they do on a yom. That's how they read the Torah. They don't read the whole part, the thing straight through like we do. Right, they do the Meturgaman, right? So he says you're not doing that, and not only that, he says it's not even a Targum. It's not even an explanation of what you just read. It's something different. You're explaining the beauty of how Hashem made the world and Hashem made the Torah. He chose the Jewish people, and you talk about the beauty of Eretz Yisrael. All these things. What does that have to do with it? She says, so rather call up the Kohen while the Torah is closed, before the Kohen makes his bracha, do the Akdamis. And then the Kohen makes his bracha and they go on and so forth. And that's how most people do it today. However, there are communities still today, like the Yankees community, the people in Washington Heights, and there are people in Switzerland. There are different communities, the Yankees communities that are in Switzerland, ad hayom, some in London also, in Great Britain, that they do it the way the Maril said. That's the, hey, what?
Israel too.
Yeah, you saw it, yeah?
I saw it. It's the Yankees community in Beitar Elite. It's such strange minhagim, but...
No, listen, they do their thing. They have them in Huggen.
Are the Yankees still on the west side in New York?
They were in Washington Heights.
Washington Heights,
yeah. Rav Breuer came, and then you have Rav Schwab, and they're great people, mamish.
Yeah.
Well, they have a different minhag also. You ever see a Yeki before Kiddush, everyone goes and washes. Before Kiddush, everyone goes and washes. Al Natilas Yadayim. They go to the table. They make Kiddush, and then afterwards he says, "Amaytzi lechem in aretz," and they eat the bread.
Right.
Organized, right? Wait. I make Kiddush, and then we're going to all get up, and we're going to come back, and this and that. These are minhagim. You understand?
Okay.
These are different minhagim, so you can't change minhagim. These are minhagim that are based on halacha.
Okay, but Ashkenazim have minhagim, nachon?
Yes.
So like for myself personally...
But minhagim that are based on halacha.
I understand. Let me tell you my quandary.
Okay.
I mean, if I would go to minhagim of my family, they didn't celebrate Shabbat. So then
that's not a min, right? Exactly.
It's not a minhag, but I didn't know what was, what wasn't. So now, as I'm learning, I'm just taking on things, and I don't know whose minhag it is.
No, but
so
that's fine. No. Okay, we started this off by saying you spoke to somebody, and he said that this is my minhag, so I don't do that. When it's a minhag, he can say that.
No, but he said his minhag was that his family never did it. Does that make sense?
That's what a minhag is. If a person comes from a religious background and he comes and they have a continuity in the family, and he understands where his family came from and the minhagim of the family, so on, so then those he has to follow those.
Okay, but what if they didn't have? So what I'm saying is, can some like hitbot a dude?
That's not a minhag.
What is that?
That's something that we do. It has nothing to do with a minhag.
So if you say to someone, "Why don't you take this on?" He said, "Well, it's not our family's minhag."
But that's not. It has nothing to do with a minhag. That has nothing to do with a minhag.
No, so that's why I'm asking. So then he could take it on to. if he took
I
on
gave you,
his
I,
body
ga- I
do-
gave, I gave you the example of the minhag
No, I
where
know.
everyone's going to go wash, right?
Right,
And then you're going to go make the kid. That's a minhag, okay?
Okay.
Some people do that. Some people don't do that, right?
Right. So let's just Hibana. You said it's not.
I don't. I mean, in my family, we don't do that. I think it's great. I would love to do that.
Yeah, you don't have, why you.
No,
you
I
say
would love.
kid-
No, I would love to do that, but we don't do that.
Right.
That's not what we do. So I don't do that.
Okay, so I need to get out of that paradigm for a
My
moment.
my wife comes from a Yekish family,
Yeah.
and she's like always perplexed, like how come we don't do it this way? Because that's how we do it. You know? But I'm sorry, that's not what we do.
So Hibana is not a minhag. It's not a law.
No,
right?
it's not a minhag, it's not a law.
Right. So if someone says to me, I don't want to take on Hibana because it's not our family's minhag.
He's saying that he doesn't want to have a relationship with Hashem.
Right.
That's what he's actually saying. He says, well, I'm not interested in having a relationship with Hashem.
Okay, that was the kind of the. I said, well, why wouldn't you want to increase?
Yeah,
your
there's a Rabbi Tauber from L.A., and he always says, if you want to, how are you going to have a relationship with someone if you don't speak to them, right? How are you going to have a relationship with someone that you don't speak to, right? He always says that, right? How are you going to have a relationship with someone that you don't speak to? So if you want to have a relationship with Hashem, you have to speak to Hashem. Right, so that same guy is probably the same guy when he's davening. He's not even paying attention. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. He's just saying reading words. He's not no relationship. It's lip service, right? Some people serve Hashem with lip service, right?
It's something. I'm sure it's nice. Somebody I forget it was. He said, when you daven, you're talking to Hashem.
Yeah.
When you learn Torah, Hashem is talking to you.
Beautiful. No, it's true, right? It's true. When we learned that when it comes to Kriyas Torah, Kriyas Torah, Kodesh Baruch, it's you're hearing the utterances from Hashem. That's what Kriyas Torah is. Okay, so that's the whole idea. So based on the Torah, lesson 7 in the second book, we learned this idea that a person should never look at somebody else that's righteous and say, what does he know? Right? That's what Korach did. Korach went to he looked at Moshe Rabbeinu because he was and Korach was really a great person, and he made the mistake. So Halachos kama v'kama is people that are not so great, right? That we're not such great people. What we're going to go look at the great people and we're going to go ask questions on them?
Don't look at anyone really ever, like we kind of talked about.
Yeah, I understand, but we were saying that.
Look at a great person.
No, right? No. But we said that you can always, if you don't understand something, speak to them, right? Like I gave the example, Korah could have said, "I don't understand what's going on with Moshe, why he made these decisions. So let me go talk to him. Let me work it out with him."
Don't just unilaterally.
He came up, he surmised it in his own mind.
Well, that we do a lot.
Yeah, but that's what we're saying. Don't do that.
But
Don't do that.
What makes someone a great rabbi? What made Korach great? Because he obviously wasn't.
Korach number one was a great scholar. He really was, and Korach was the wealthiest person. He was very, very wealthy. Okay,
So
money
he was
got to
happy
his
with
head.
what he had.
Wait a second. Wait. And Korach also had some ruach hakodesh.
Yeah.
Korach understood. He was able to see in the future that he saw that his what is it called? Progeny is going to be Shmuel HaNavi, Samuel, the prophet, great guy, right? David HaMelech, he anointed David HaMelech, right? Pretty good guy, right? And he looked up and he looked ahead with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu had his children and he didn't see anything came from them. So there's something wrong here. I must be much greater than him because the proof of Samuel comes from me and not from Moshe, right? He's doing this all in his mind. Certainly he got his blue talus, right? And he went to war with Moshe Rabbeinu. Didn't work out too good for him.
But that's not so great.
No, it wasn't. No, but it's a great example to understand what we're saying. But we do this sometimes with everyone, with other people also. You have a friend of yours that knows what he's doing, and he's doing and you see what he's doing, and now you surmise, he doesn't know. Yeah, what does he know?
Great doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean his behaviors will be perfect. He got on the wrong track, but he was great. Doag and Tafel was the same thing.
Yeah.
We
Don't
do them a disservice by calling someone great because they just learned something different. I mean, they're Jewish.
Okay, let's
Anyway,
see what we're
go
gonna do.
ahead.
We can still do. Let's do Yud. Let's go to
Okay,
Yud now.
I'm
This
sorry.
is a great thing here. Right here we go. V'zeh bechinas Yud 10. Zeh bechinas betzias hapas. Sheyesh by kama dinim be'inyan habetzia. People don't even know this, right? Here, when it comes to breaking bread, right? Betzias hapas is breaking bread, right? You break the bread, right? You sit down to break bread, right? There's many laws of breaking bread. One of the things that we discuss is what kind of bread is it? Can you use is it a whole loaf? Is it not a whole loaf? If this is not a whole loaf, but let's say it's a pure, clean flour, right? It's very very pristine. It's something great. Maybe that has preference over the other one. We don't know. There's many laws when it comes to breaking the bread. Where do you break the bread from? I'll tell you something interesting. The Arizal brings this idea that where you're supposed to break the bread, you're supposed to break the bread where it got a little crunchy, sometimes you have on a piece of bread, there's a little piece that's really was baked a little more than the other part, right? He says that's the part you're supposed to eat for the hamotzi. Why? Because he says that in the bread itself, you have all of the different things, the minerals and everything that's in that bread, all the stuff that's in there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu worked it out for you that part is the precise part, the particles and the pieces of flour, everything in that part is what you need to make the tikkun for your neshama. That's what you need. So he makes it that's the part that got a little more burnt. So I got to take that part. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. But if I know, that's the main thing is where I break the bread, where I break it, and that piece that we take.
That first piece. Have you ever heard of the first cutting off an edge piece and separating it, keeping that separate? It has something to do with affecting your memory. Have you ever heard that?
You shouldn't do that. Shouldn't that? No.
You
The Arizal doesn't say to do that.
You
No.
never heard of anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay, but you're saying the crunchiest piece.
Yeah,
You
that's what the
should-
Arizal says. I think it's a
that's
teaching.
what I'll go with
Okay, yeah,
that.
okay.
That's fair.
Okay. It's not my idea.
To break that off, and that should be your first piece that you
Yes.
can eat.
Yes.
I happen to like the crunchy part
Well, good.
most. I mean, anyway.
That's why Hashem. No. But Hashem gave you a present that you like that, so that way you can always make the tikkun when you're eating something. Isn't that nice? 'Cause that's the one. That's the one you have the most cheshik for, right? You like. I want that piece.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
But I've seen a lot of people cut off the end and move it over.
You have.
I have seen it.
Yeah. So no, I had someone that got
Wait, before they cut the bread, they cut the bread?
no.
Yeah, they cut the end off.
Yeah.
They cut the
Yeah.
end off
After
before
they,
they...
after
Yeah,
they make
and
the
I
broth.
do that. I had
After or
a,
before they make the broth?
After the broth.
he's
Well, that's
very nice.
after the
Big
broth
mouth
is
stuff. I had-
different.
No. Before you eat something, right? He
Before
first
he
breaks
eats it,
this
but
off.
He says the broth, he cuts off the end, and then he goes
And he,
to
yeah, and he
the
leaves
middle.
this one piece. He's a
Doesn't make it
billionaire.
right.
What's he taking? Truma? What's he taking? He's taking his.
I don't know. But when I asked him about it, someone that was behind me, mentioned this. He's like, "Oh, you don't do that," and somehow I've now taken.
Oh, he was surmising already. Oh, you see?
now, ever
I
since he
know.
said that, I took
And
on
then
the
what does
smell.
this guy Yossi know? See that? He did that. That's exactly what we're
What are you
learning.
talking about? And he must have. I just said he's a billionaire. So like.
Oh, he's a billionaire.
Oh, then he got it right.
So
But
of course,
is he
so of course he
wealthy?
knows more than you, right? You're only a millionaire, and he's a billionaire. So he knows better.
He goes, I don't know that I've seen other people do this. Is kind of like David saying, I've seen other people do it. I believe it has to do with affecting one's memory.
Right.
It's like the idea of okay,
It's
if
good,
you've
but it's
never heard it-
affecting his memory much more by questioning what you're doing.
Okay, I
He
don't
can
wanna-
ask you after. He can ask
I
you.
don't think he was-
Yeah, he can say, "Yes, how come I usually do it like this. Is there a reason why you don't do it?" He can ask you.
Yeah, because I never.
No, but he can do it in that way, and then ask.
He's about you. He meant well.
Oh, he's about tshuva. Okay. So he doesn't. Okay, fine.
He's been around the biggest.
Rabbi Sein is going to bracha chikiru v'darshu upilpelu. There's so much. It's a lebedika thing, and I'm telling you, look in the Shulchan Aruch, you can see the Magen Avram and the Taz and it's unbelievable. The Machzor, it's fascinating. This whole idea of where you break the bread, which one you take, what you do. And let's say there's two people at the table. Right, and one has, let's say, a sourdough bread, and the other one has a regular bread. This one's more, he loves this one loves that one. So each one will make the bracha on and be baitzeya on their bread. So if this, let's say it's a lechem mishnah, so they'll take the two breads, they'll hold it together, right? They put the 10 fingers on the bread. He'll be baitzeya on that roll, and this one will be baitzeya on that roll. Unbelievable. This, if you learn the halachas, it's a beautiful sugya.
I'm not sure what it is,
Gemara, what?
I'm not sure so I've seen some people cut the bread in the middle. But so what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to cut the bread is the question. If you look, let's say the crunchy part is in the middle. So
it doesn't have to be in the middle.
No, I know.
Sometimes it can be at the ends. Something most of the time the crunchy part's at the end.
Okay, so you cut on the crunchy part.
Yeah.
But what if the crunchy?
Well, not just crunchy. You want the part that has like the little burn, like there's something that you see from the fire on it. He's going to explain. Let's look inside. The Gemara in Sanhedrin on Kuf Beis Amid Beis. Okay, Mehechin Kol Shoris Hamaitzi. From where does a person do the baitzeya on the hamaitzi? Right. The Gemara is asking the question. Right, some Rabashi asked the question, where do I do the baitzeya? Okay? There are very, very, very deep secrets inside this idea with the bread. Who would have ever thought? Well, I'm not talking about a piece of bread. There's secrets in my bread. Yes, you ever believe that? There's secrets in the bread.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's incredible that we spend only us, like Jews, spend so much. Like, if people listen to this, yeah, but the crunchy, which part? The crunchy, the soft, the ripped. The people like, who are these people?
U'kamation is bar bazeh ba'halachos hakadmainim, as the halachas in the kadmainim, they speak a lot. I'm telling you, if you look in Shulchan Aruch, one time we should maybe we should learn the sugya in Shulchan Aruch. You'll see it's a whole world by itself. When you take out Shulchan Aruch and you learn Paiskim on Shulchan Aruch, it's a whole world by itself. It's fascinating. This is a very, very lively topic. This whole idea with the bread, like you're saying, see, this is a very lively topic. Ki kol tikun b'tzias hapas shediktiku by Rabbi Seinu zechlein levracha kol kach. Look at these words. Yes, you see these words? Ki kol tikun b'tzias hapas. The whole tikun on this idea of breaking the bread. Shediktiku, that there was so many, they were very critical. I think diktiku, you use the word critical for that. Is that a good word to use? They were very critical. Shalom, is that okay? They were medactic. They were very, very critical. No?
They were very careful to do it the right way.
They what?
They were very careful to do it the right way.
In the right way, right? Critical on how you do it. And again, lesson 7 in the second book, which is Ki Merachim Yenagim. Okay, so there's so many things going on. Like we said, you can come to the Oretz Harotzen, right? And again, we said what is bread? Bread has to have the basic properties of bread is it has to have flour and water. Right? Flour and water. For it to be considered real bread, it has to have flour and water. And then you can add other things. You can add eggs, you can add oil, you can add sugar, whatever you want to add to it. But it has to have flour and water. Flour and water is what makes something bread. If you take something that's not that you didn't use any water for it, right? There's no water. You just take flour, and you take, for example, let's say you take oil. You don't use water. It's a question if that's even bread. Right? You understand? There's a lot of questions. Bread is the principle. It has to, we said, it had to have been able to become matzah. Right? It has to become matzah. The secret is the matzah inside the bread. Remember we learned that, Yossi, right? The secret is the matzah that's found in the bread. Right? And now, so to have that, it has to be flour and water. Like bread is matzah is flour and water, so it has to have that in there. There's so many things in this Haaretz HaRatzon to get to the Ratzon, the connection to Hashem while I'm eating is something so special. A person can really come to a high level. We said that a person can come close to Hashem while eating as he does when he's davening. Isn't that amazing, Yossi? You can have your sandwich.
You have to define matzah as something that has the potential to be chametz.
Yeah. If you have flour and water, that has the potential to be chametz. Right? If you let it let it wait over 18 minutes, it becomes what do you call it? It becomes chametz. Okay? Ki mevaya sham shayedei kloli is benu talmud. The Rebbe is talking about there. It's a beautiful lesson that the idea of a ben and a talmud, the student and a son, right? That you could bring together the idea of the student and the son. Right, the Rebbe says over there that really a person should make sure that he leaves over in the world somebody that'll carry on his ideas, his Torah values, his ideas, his things. You have to make sure you leave, and that's what the son does. Right? You have your son, so after the person passes away, his son is still in the world, and the son is continuing the way the father did things. Right? And that's what the Rebbe says, you could be in both worlds at the same time. Right? A person could have passed away, his neshama is in the next world, but he's still in this world because his son is doing the same thing that he was doing.
Meaning the minhag.
The minhag, whatever, his ideas or whatever it is, his teachings, whatever it is, he's doing the same thing. So he's in the next world and he's in this world at the same time. Bringing the Ben and the Talmud together, bringing them together. Many times we read many rabbis that didn't have children. Right? But they had children. Right? Take the Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? Right? He didn't have any children, but he didn't have children? Sure, he had thousands. He has thousands of children. He has thousands of children. Right? Because again, when you teach somebody and you help the person and you bring them closer to Hashem, keep them away from sin, that is like as if you gave birth to that person, mamish.
And by you staying close to Hashem and doing those things that you learned from Him, it's as if
the person's still there. He's still there. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, it's a fascinating lesson, Yossi. You'll really enjoy it. Lesson 7 in the second book. It's a long lesson, but it's fascinating. If you like these ideas, it's something very, very special. Okay, Benu Talmud. The idea of Aye Mekayim Kevoidai, right? The idea of Aye, the Talmud is the Aye Mekayim Kevoidai, which is a higher level. The son is sometimes can also be a student also, right? The person has a son. The son can be the Talmud also. But the idea of the Talmud and the Ben, the son is the idea of Malay Chalaretz Kevaydai. The Talmud is Aye Mekayim Kevaydai, the lower level and the higher level. Aye Mekayim Kevaydai is the higher level, and then the lower one is Malay Chalaretz Kevaydai. When a person's on the lower level, so then you show that person, no matter where you got stuck in the world, it doesn't matter where you are. Hashem is there with you. You always can find Hashem because He's there with you, because wherever you are in the world, it can't be existing in the world unless Hashem's there. So guess what? You're with Hashem, no matter where you are. Right? That's what we say when a person is in a low place, and he cries out, Miloi Chalaretz Kevaydai, he says, Aye Mekayim Kevaydai. He can bring himself to the highest places, right? When he realizes that, he can bring himself to the highest place, even in the dumps. Through a person can accomplish this through his eating. Laras HaRotzon HaMuflag, a great place of Rotzon. He can come to that place past Keter. He can come to that place of Aye Mekayim Kevaydai, to the place of Rava the Rava, like we come to on Shalosh Shudas, on Shabbos, that high place a person can come to. Ki HaMalchus Shu Bechinas Yira. Malchus is an idea of Yira, right? Mikabelas HaParnasa, and that's where we get our Parnasa from, right? If a person understands that really when he's eating, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted him to have this bread. like we just said before from the Arizal. There's some tikkun I can make in this piece of bread. That's why I have this loaf of bread. You're right. There's so many loaves out there, but I have this one, and this is the juice, the crunchy part here that was that the oven was burnt. That's what I need. Right? Me'adayim sheyesh b'yam hachachma. The idea of the adayim that are in the yam hachachma. We learned about that idea so much. That again, when you pick up your hands, when you wash, you pick up your hands and you say, "Su yedechem kodesh uvorchu es Hashem." I'm lifting up my hands in order to bless Hashem. Sheim bechinas haramazim shesham meirin amakifin. That's the idea where you can illuminate the makifin. The makifin is the idea when you have something in your mind, what you have, what you already attained. That is called a pnimi. Right? When you have something in your mind that you understand, that you worked out, you understand, that's called a pnimi. It's inside. I got that. But there's always something called the makif. There's something always around the mind. Something that I'm grappling with. I'm trying to understand that. There's always something a makif. Right? There are certain things you know. Right, Yossi, there's certain things you know, you have a good footing on them, you understand them. But there's other things that I know something about it, but it's a little foggy. It's not. I don't really have it. It's not like the splaklaria meira, right? It's not so clear to me. It's she'ena meira. It's not there. But the tzaddikim always know how to teach us. They teach in a way that the person can take that thing that he was grappling with and make that become a pnimi for the person. Okay? Bechinas remazim. Okay? Shesham meirin amakifim shehem bechinas shtika shezeh bechinas ein meshichin beseuda. We don't speak during the suda, right? Okay. Basically, what we're saying over here is this: it's something so special. When we break the bread, every halacha we're learning, every halacha is so special. Right? How we break the bread, what we do, everything is in Shulchan Aruch. Everything is there. Everything. We can find everything. And then Rab Nosson keeps revealing to us all the beauty of all the things that we're doing anyway. Right? You go and you wash, you pick up your hands. And we said that we learned the idea that when you pick up your hands, you pick up both hands, the left with the right, because I'm trying to connect the left to the right. I'm not trying to disconnect the left and switch it to the right. I'm trying to connect the left with the right. I'm trying to connect the darei mala with the darei mata. Right? The lower level, which is aye mekayim kavaydai. No, which is malay chalaretz kavaydai with the darei mala, which is aye mekayim kavaydai. I'm trying to connect the upper world together with the lower world. That's the Beis Hamikdash, like we said, that's how that works in the Beis Hamikdash. And all of these different beautiful ideas, what we can accomplish while we're eating our bread. Isn't that amazing? All the things that a person can accomplish while they eat their bread. Who would have ever thought?
While making a bracha.
While making the bracha and while eating the bread and while eating it and contemplating. Wow, this is what I'm doing. I'm making tikkunim here by what I'm doing. Unbelievable. It's a praise for Eretz Yisrael. Because again, the 5 grains are all a praise. What?
5 grains are all praise of Eretz Yisrael. Hay for hashishi.
Hashishi, right? Hashishi. We said the shishi is 6. What was 6? Vav Sivan, Kabbalah Satorah. Hashishi is the Hey Ayadiyah, right? Why is it known? Because the praise of Eretz Yisrael is the Hey, which is the 5 different grains. Who would have ever thought these things? I mean, it's fascinating, right?
Yeah. And you're just like and basically tzaddikim or Kubalim, you see them close their eyes or like this is pretty much what they're thinking about.
Yeah, and there's plenty more. Rab Nosson keeps telling you that I'm just giving you.
Yeah, but this is like
I'm giving you the basics here, but it's pretty good, just to even understand these concepts. Right? See, there's so much more than meets the eye of what we're actually doing. There's so much more than meets the eye than what we're doing. Okay, we understand this now, right? We got a little bit. We got a handle on it.
I don't understand anything, but that's okay.
There we go. Let's learn the halacha in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Okay.
Did you finish 10?
Yeah.
Did you say something about this sentence here that says one must not talk during the meal?
While you're eating, they say don't talk.
While you're eating.
While you're eating, don't talk. But we have food in your mouth, don't talk. That's what it means when you're eating. Don't talk with food in your mouth. But you're supposed to. But we said you're supposed to learn Torah. One second, we said, okay, I'm glad you brought that in, right? We said that you have to make sure that you speak words of Torah at the Suda. If not, you're reading from Zivchei Mason. Right, we said you don't want to eat from zivchei. We don't want to eat from the dead carcasses. Right? You want to eat something. You want to eat something special. So you want to have something that's alive. You have to have Torah during your meal. Okay, so Torah during the meal. But again, while you're eating, you have food in your mouth. Don't speak, because that's not very polite. Okay, okay. What? What's that? What's that?
My grandmother also, David's grandmother.
That did what? Don't eat with the food in your mouth.
They must have known each other.
She also said, "Don't sing at the table; you'll get a crazy wife." But that's just a.
Did it happen?
Did I sing or did you get a crazy wife? I'm not going to answer it.
Okay, now we know the truth.
Okay, okay. We're learning now in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We're in Siman Chaf. We're in 20. We're in 20 in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. 20 guys. Where are we up to? 4. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. The Kedusha. We're up to 4. So 20. We're in Siman Chaf Sivkat and Dalit. Okay. B'kedusha yizar kol echad lechavei neraglov sheyu shteyem beyachad kilo heim regel achas. Right? When it comes to kedusha, right? You keep your both feet together. You don't have one foot this way, one foot that way. You have the 2 feet together, so that it's like 1 foot. We learned that with Shmon Esrei also. When you say Shmon Esrei, you have to have your feet together. You want to be like a malach. He says, from the Navi Yecheskel says, V'ragleim regel yeshara. The ragleim of the angel, when Yecheskel's describing the angel, he says, Ragleim regel yeshara. Their legs are like their 2 feet are like 1 foot. So we want to be like malachim. We want to be like we said when Malach Halaretz Kavayda. The malachim is saying that Kodesh, 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 right? So we want to be like them. So we also put our feet together when we say that. Geshaim Kodesh, 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 and then it says Ubarach Yimlach Meirim Gufay Va'akevay Lamala. You asked that a while ago, Yossi. There's a thing to pick up your feet, right? Remember you said there's a question to do, you pick up
with the heels.
Yeah, akeva, right? The feet, the heels, right? So here you have it in Shulchan Aruch right here. It's right here now. Kodesh, 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 uvarach o yimleich, meirim gufa, you lift up your body, va'akevai lamala. Akevai, right? It's akevai. Why one? Why? Because you have your 2 feet together. So it's like 1. It's not akevim. It's not it's 1 akevai, right? Lamala. V'noigim lisa einayim lemarim, and people they're noig to look up. You look up towards heaven. V'toiv kishitiyena segurais. It's good if your eyes would be closed when you do that. So you don't, because again, if you're looking around, then you lose track of what you're saying, because now you're looking at something. Oh, the bulb's out. Oh, this is that. Right? You start saying you lose. So if you keep your eyes closed and keep and remember you're talking to Hashem, look up towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same way Moshe Rabbeinu had his hands up. We remember we were winning the war with Amalek, because again we realize it's all Me'ez Hashem. So of course when we're saying the Kedusha, we're supposed to look up towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, keep the eyes closed. Okay? Should we do one more?
This says the custom is also to lift up one's eyes heavenward.
Yeah.
It is proper that they be closed.
Yeah. I just told you why. Because keep your eyes closed. Why, David? You're looking upwards. Because you're reminding yourself, I'm looking towards Hashem, but you keep your eyes closed, so that way you don't say, there's a spot on the ceiling, or the light bulb is out, or you start thinking other things, right? When you're looking up in shul, right?
It's not just keep your eyes
that guy's
closed.
not taking care of the shul, right? See, the bulb is out again.
But it's both up
Raise
and
it.
closed.
Up and closed.
Raise up your eyes.
This is for during
Kedusha.
During Kedusha.
Repetition.
During Kedusha.
Like
The repetition.
supposed to have Well, people like that, like just looking at sinner.
If you if you don't know, if you know the words, and you don't need to look in. Like, I think you know Kedusha pretty good by now, right, Yossi? Right, I think you do. So you would be a person that can follow this. You can keep your eyes closed upwards. Realize I'm talking to Hashem, right? If a person doesn't know the words, so of course look in your sin and say the words.
So why do we
And click and raise your heels.
click
It's
your
like
heels?
It's an activity.
no, it's in a balance.
You have to balance. I have to going up. I have to hold my head up. It's Levitic, right? It's very good.
So why do we raise our eyes up if Hashem is everywhere?
To remind us that of holiness, loftiness is above. It's not necessarily in this world,
Okay.
right? Okay, okay. These are the law. It's a beautiful things to think about. To realize that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is his kisei hakavod is up on high. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening, and everyone should have a wonderful day, and we should hear good tidings.